Hi everyone, welcome back to the course. In this lecture, I am telling you about data mining, string manipulation, regular expression, and data cleaning. Data pathologies come in roughly two types. The first are formatting issues. This includes inconsistent capitalization, extraneous white space, and things of that nature. Often, these are straightforward to solve with appropriate preprocessing of the data. The second category involves the actual content of the data. Duplicate enters, major outliers, and null values are all examples. It often requires some detective work to figure out what these issues mean in a particular situation and hence how they should be addressed. My goal is are twofold. Firstly, I want to give you an appreciation for the breadth of issues that can be present in real world data and equip you to quickly identify and diagnose problems. Secondly, I want to teach you tools that can be used to solve the problem. Manipulation string of text might seem boring at first glance, but it is one of the most powerful tools a data scientist can have. I would put it on par with machine learning itself. Now, the worst dataset in the world. The worst industrial dataset that I ever worked with was the first one. It was a collection of server logs describing queries that had been received by a large collection of servers that my client owned. A given server could be referred to by a number of different names. Most lines of the logs were gobbledygook that were useless to me. Some of the key fields were encoded in word hexadecimal. There was no rows or column. Instead, each line has its own structure. It was awful. Now, how to identify pathologies? One of the most embarrassing things that can happen in data science is to have to retract results that you have presented because you realize that you processed the data incorrectly. Given how involuted dataset often are, you should have a healthy degrees of paranoia about this happening. To identify these issues only, I have 4 pieces of advice. If the data is a text, look directly at the raw file rather than just reading it into a script. Reading supporting documentation if it is available. Have a battery of standard diagnosis questions you ask about the data. Do sanity checks where you use the check to drive things that you already know. Now, duplicate entries. You should always check for duplicate entries in a dataset. Some they are important in some real world way. In those cases, you usually want to condense them into one entry, adding an additional column that includes how many unique entries there were. Now, multiple entries for a single entity. This case is a little more interesting than duplicate entries. Often, each real world entity logically corresponds to one row in the dataset, but some entities are repeat multiple times with different data. The most common causes of this is that some of the entries are out of data and only one row is currently correct. In other cases, the actually should be duplicate entries. For example, each entry might be a power generator with several LNT monitors in it. Now missing entries. Most of the time, when some entities are not described in a dataset, they have some common characteristic that keep them out. For example, let's say that there is a log of all transactions from the past year. We group the transaction by customer and add up the size of the transaction of each customer. This dataset will have only one row per customer, but any customer who had two transactions in the past year will be left out entity. That's it for the lecture. Thank you for watching.